This is the best of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
We have things to talk about today, but that's not always the case, incidentally. But today we have things to talk about, but I want to explain to the audience, many of you who are impressed with Mike Ryan as a producer, many of you who are impressed with Stugotz as a mighty cartoon sports caricature. This is the last conversation, if you can call it that happened before we went on the air. Stugotz, apropos of nothing, no one listens to him about this stuff anymore because he's just blurting in every direction, a sprinkler of information, most of it useless. Stugotz says the Ravens are saying that Lamar Jackson is amazing to watch.
Yep.
So Stugotz throws that into the other room. There is no reaction. There are no other words spoken. I take no inventory of anyone having heard what Stugotz said. Mike Ryan's next words to Stugotz. I don't have the context for this. I don't know what it's about. But this is Mike Ryan at the height of the producing chain here as this spaceship soars into the sky, America's biggest radio sports thing. Mike Ryan says to Stugotz, I sent you the farts.
Dan, the NFL news, it never stops. You kind of buried the lead, but Ravens players find Lamar Jackson amazing to watch.
That's not burying the lead.
Deshaun Watson practiced without a knee brace. And finally, Dan, the rancid rotten egg smell comes from a gas called hydrogen sulfide, which makes up for all but 1% of a fart. How about that? Deshaun Watson already practicing without a knee brace after a gruesome injury just a few months ago. I mean, this guy is on a path to become the best quarterback in the history of the NFL. But to be able, I'm telling you, more impressive than that is to be able to practice this soon after that surgery without a knee brace. Amazing, amazing. When you look at his list of career accomplishments, this will be at the very top. He practiced without a knee brace months after that injury.
Eric Rydholm is very good at his job. He's considered one of the best sports executives anywhere in America. He invented PTI. He invented the scroll. He's the producer of Highly Questionable, Jesus and Marrow, and now High Noon. Every day, Eric does something where he's like lifting up his shirt with my father or something ridiculously silly and stupid as a 50-year-old man. And I'm like, congratulations on where it is you've arrived. Mike Ryan is climbing that same ladder. One, I sent you the farts at a time.
He invented the rundown, by the way. ESPN 2 invented the scroll. That's a fun.
That's right. He invented the rundown.
He did.
Sorry. All right. More impressive invention. Guillermo, put it on the poll. More impressive invention, the rundown or the scroll? The rundown on the side of the screen or the scroll on the bottom of the screen?
I haven't seen you reach for $1.
All right. Hold on a second. Your IOU is $18.
What? Reminder, right in that fine bucket, $18 IOU.
And it's the bottom line, not the scroll. Fun. So $18?
Bill Plaschke has written a column for the LA Times. A column is a thing that used to appear in something called newspapers.
Oh.
And Bill Plaschke has written that Magic Johnson was hired only and exclusively to get LeBron. and that will be his job is to somehow reel in LeBron. And if this is not a testament, the idea that people will think, hey, if we get David Griffin or if we give him this incredibly powerful job, maybe we'll lure LeBron. Magic Johnson was hired because he can change the Lakers' history in much the same way that he did when he was playing.
Yes.
If he simply is able to convince this guy that he should play in Los Angeles. The problem with that is I cannot think of anyone less susceptible to recruiting charms than LeBron. His own kids didn't want him to leave Miami, and he overruled them.
Right.
What's Magic Johnson going to convince him to do that he doesn't already know? that he wants to do. Like, how do you, I know Miami loves the story of Pat Riley throwing 6 rings on the table and it looks like a recruiting job, but LeBron wanted to come here and play with his friends. Like, and so Riley closed it, but Magic's got the same ability right now. What he's offering is a young roster and Los Angeles. And he could do, he's offering him Hollywood.
And the most flexibility this offseason to do whatever LeBron wants to do, $60 million in cap space.
So that is the job, though. Isn't that a fairly amazing thing to say? When you know the name Magic Johnson is royalty, you put him atop that royal organization, and the job is nothing more. Whatever you did with Lonzo Ball, Ingram, none of that stuff matters. They're Andrew Wiggins. They're ancillary pieces that get sent away so the big boys can have the stage.
Magic is there to attract LeBron James. Hopefully attract LeBron James.
But do you think that works?
No.
What's that worth? No. In a real way, someone explain to me what they think that's worth. And are you ever buying yourself anything when you hire a person with the idea of, hell, man, the Heat drafted Shabazz Napier because LeBron was liking things about him on Twitter. Like that felt like a move that was made just to appease LeBron James.
Right. It's interesting because yesterday I was reading, there's all kinds of rumors, right? This time of year is great. I love this time of year. Everyone's throwing stuff around, but LeBron would like to play with Paul George. And then there's a report this morning that all paths, everything seems like Paul George wants to remain in Oklahoma City. Which is crazy. So maybe LeBron has to go to Oklahoma City if he wants to play with Paul George.
That's crazy. Is that right? Are people reporting that Paul George wants to stay in OKC? Wouldn't you guys be surprised if he stayed in Oklahoma City?
Dan, people are reporting everything.
Right.
Yeah. I saw a report yesterday that LeBron hates the city of Houston.
Mike Francesa is reporting that he invented fantasy sports.
Daily fantasy sports.
You know what's kind of odd in regards to this NBA offseason? LeBron didn't go year to year. He signed a 2-year deal, which I thought was a tip to the rest of the NBA. Hey, I won't hold the NBA hostage for one off season. Get all your ducks in a row 2 seasons from now. And right now, you look at the potential cap space, only 4 teams are in position to add a max player contract. Is that just because no teams knew how to spend with the salary cap going up? What happened here?
I do feel like there's some of that. I do feel like nobody was quite prepared for what happened in free agency, where one day to the next, because of the TV dollars, you're talking about the contracts are in a stratosphere that none of us even understand, where I could give you $100 million contracts for players that you've barely heard of, that you didn't Drew Holiday get some, Reggie Jackson's getting $85 million.
Yeah, Drew Holiday got a max contract.
Tristan Thompson has a max, right?
I don't think it's quite a max, but it's far above market value.
Well, speaking of Tristan Thompson, let me ask you guys this question. Did you guys see the video of Draymond Green and Tristan Thompson?
No.
There's a video. They're handshaking after the game. I'm assuming it's game 4. I'm assuming the series is over. And Tristan Thompson goes over to shake the hand of Draymond Green after a hard-fought series. And Draymond Green, this wonderful grown man who's a child, I don't know whether he actually said it or I imagined hearing it, but there was the equivalent of, I don't bleep with you. And he just moved his shoulder away from Tristan Thompson as Tristan Thompson's going in to shake his hand and make eye contact. And you see Tristan Thompson look at him, and Draymond's in a hurry to hit the back of Nick Young. What he was in a hurry to do is just get away from Tristan Thompson. Like he wanted to do that to Tristan Thompson. That's one of the reasons. I know you get mad at this team, but that's one of the reasons I think this team isn't going to ruin anything, even as they make the sport too easy, because they're going to give you reasons to root against them and believe that this is the year that Houston gets them or someone else gets them. Draymond Green is fully committed to the villain character. It is wonderful.
There's a bit more to this Tristan and Draymond thing, and this sound comes courtesy of Draymond Green's mouth and NBC Sports Bay Area.
How were you guys able to fight through the struggle this year? Stay together, figure out ways to win when you guys are injured, fight through the Rocket series. That was probably the toughest series for you. How'd you guys do it?
Honestly, they want a political answer. Right. Give it to them raw. But the fact of the matter is we just cut from a different cloth. There's a lot of guys in this league. They soft. We just cut from a different cloth.
That's real.
That's all I really got from you.
That's real.
We just ain't cut the same. I told one of them dudes from Cavs after the game, he tried to shake my hand. I said, Tristan, we ain't cut the same.
Wait a minute. One of them dudes, and then he mispronounces his name? Did he pronounce it? He call him Tristan or Tristan or Tristan?
He called him Tristan.
Yeah, my favorite part about that is I told one of them dudes from the Cavs as if he didn't want to name him, and then goes right into saying exactly who it was.
That sounds like Draymond, right? He is like an SNL skit of what it is that you'd want. You know, shooting with a backpack, kicking people in the junk, winning championships, refusing to. He's a professional wrestler in the most popular sport we got going this time of year.
He's annoying.
Don Le Batard.
I wanted to do the show that we do on Wednesdays, which is wacky and pop culture, and we'll talk about Russell Crowe's got evidently a book of divorce, like The Art of Divorce. There's an actual book out that he's got that I want to just read from.
Stugotz.
Oh, the Art of Divorce was, I think, just the auction, not an actual book.
You thought the guy wrote the book on divorce? I mean,
no.
He's teaching the proper way. Here's the proper way. Sign a prenup.
I thought Russell Crowe was. Thank you.
That's the book. Okay, here's the book on divorce.
All right.
Sign a prenup.
There it is.
That's it.
There it is.
And by the way, that's a fine. I mean, you mistook a book for whatever it was.
An auction, a Sotheby's auction.
Yeah. That's not a book. $5.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
So a texter writes in, praise Draymond, but bash Conor McGregor for the same things. Racist much?
Is that guy?
I've never bashed Conor McGregor. I think all of it is very funny. Happy 62nd birthday to Sal Palantonio.
Happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
Mike Ryan has an update for us on this new Predator movie we're obsessed with, and the update is really not an update. It's just a 30-year-old story that's tremendous. We'll get to some funny Golden State sound in a second, because Stugotz says it's the beginning of the end with the Warriors, that the sound that we're about to play for you is somehow the beginning of the end for the Warriors.
It's over. Everything's over in Golden State.
All right. So, Mike, what do you have for me? I don't think a lot of people know this. Guillermo, put it on the poll. Did you know that the original Predator was going to be played by Jean-Claude Van Damme? Did you know that the original... I mean, he was on... Oh, Stugotz didn't know that.
No.
Yeah, he was on the set and he was doing it. And it ended unceremoniously, according to this report. Tell him, Mike.
Well, this is according to an oral history that the Hollywood Reporter did last year to honor the 30th anniversary of the original Predator movie.
Can you think of anything you'd like to read about more than the oral history of the Predator? I'm not even kidding you.
So this quote is actually from the special effects.
I'm talking about like more than the Quran. Just like I would like to read. If you gave me one biblical book for all time.
What's the Quran?
Can you read an oral history?
Yeah.
Well, then doesn't it cease becoming oral?
Weird.
It's just history.
It's a written history.
No, people say...
Oral history has to be said, clearly.
It is said to someone who writes it down.
Then it ceases becoming oral. It's just history.
Actually, not quite. I actually read an oral history, but I didn't read it. I got the audio book of it. And by the way, I would much rather read it because audio books of an oral history, very difficult to understand what's going on.
So tell us this story about Jean-Claude Van Damme instead of the thing that's less interesting, which is oral history.
So this quote to the Hollywood Reporter regarding Predator and Jean-Claude Van Damme comes courtesy of the special effects supervisor, who says he was in Joel Silver's trailer. Obviously, Joel Silver, the producer of the movie, big-time Hollywood producer, he had called Jean-Claude Van Damme over to come see him. And Van Damme comes in the trailer, and Joel starts saying to him, you got to stop kickboxing, because Van Damme just wanted to kickbox as a Predator.
Of course.
And he was telling
because he wanted everyone to know it was Van Damme in there.
And Joel Silver, big-time Hollywood producer, says, look, the Predator is not a kickboxer. And Van Damme was like, all in his Van Damme voice, I must do that. That is how I see the Predator. And Joel said, well, you're fired. Get out of here. And Van Damme says, kiss my junk. And he walks out. And that was the end of that.
I'm here for that oral history. Yeah. Guillermo, put it on the poll. Is the oral history of the Predator the best thing ever put down? Best place words have ever been put down anywhere. because I can't get that fast enough. I want to be reading from that. Can I read from that through the entire 10-minute segment that we have American Ninja Warrior Guillermo? You'll see a more confident Guillermo in about 45 minutes on ESPN Ooze when he wears his afilador shirt and he, the camera was going up and down on him suggestively, and he stands there, sensually, erotically, testosterone-soaked. Speaking of which, Jon Hamm's going to join us here in 10 minutes as well.
Oh,
Yes.
this guy.
I mean, woo. Yep.
So sexy.
Steamy.
Oh, he is an absolute hunk.
Yep.
Oh, such a man.
Have you guys noticed what's going on with Allison? Because the guest preparation for this guest and just the way she's acting because Jon Hamm is coming on is a way I've never seen her act
she's not
before.
quite herself. She's nervous. She wants to make sure the questions are all right.
That is not true. I do the same thing I do with each guest. I give you the fact sheet that you never read, which is why I went in there early to give it to you. So we'll see if you read it.
Thank you. So Jon Hamm will be here in 10 minutes.
You're a little more excited for Jon Hamm than you are, Stephen A. Smith. I mean, let's be honest, Allison.
Jon Hamm, she's happy because she lured in a big fish. That's an A-lister. And she finds him, like we all do, impossibly handsome. Put that on the poll, Guillermo. Is Jon Hamm impossibly handsome?
Anybody in this shipping container on that side of the glass, Mad Men fan? Because I watched every episode. Best written television show I've ever seen. And his character, Dom Draper, that's one of the more iconic characters in television history. I know not a lot of people saw it, though, because it was on AMC. It didn't have the reach that Walking Dead had. I don't understand, but an incredible show, obviously. I'm not reinventing the wheel here by saying this.
So we're going to talk to Jon Hamm. Also, we've got this sound from Bob Myers, the GM of the Golden State Warriors, and Stugotz. We'll be able to examine this with Stugotz later. He says this is it. It's over. The Warriors are done.
I heard you tell Kevin Durant he can have whatever contract he wants next year.
Yeah, that was just for the media. He can't have anything like that at all.
Mid-level.
Yeah, mid-level, behind closed doors.
Because I think last year you told Steph he could have any contract he wants, too.
Yeah.
So,
well, yeah, that was different. He's been here from the run, the way before days. He's earned it.
And there ended the Warriors' cohesion right there.
So that's chemistry. That's when it began. The first fissure.
I told you.
I ain't got time to bleed.
Light years ahead.
Oh, man.
The Golden State Warriors. They go up there and they just insult Kevin Durant. It's basic. Just don't do that. You don't have to do anything else. Don't talk to him. Just don't do that.
How soon afterwards do you think LeBron James reached out to Kevin Durant?
His cell phone was buzzing right then.
Don Le Batard.
Dwayne wants a fight.
All right.
Dwayne.
Well, then let's fight, man. Let's go.
No.
Do it! Kill me! I'm here!
If Wade wants it,
Kill me now!
we want it.
Do it! I'm here!
Let's go.
Kill me!
They ain't scared.
Do it! Stugotz. I'm right here! Kill me!
Listen, man.
Will you shut up, Stugotz?
I'm doing a thing! Stu! I'm doing a thing!
We were to play
Predator! This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. The Dan Le Batard Show is brought to you by Pennzoil Synthetics, taking synthetic motor oil performance to a whole new level. Make the switch to Pennzoil Synthetics today. Jon Hamm going to join us in just a second here on the Shell Pennzoil Performance line. Allison Turner said he sounds like Jon Hamm. And I have an image search up. Oh, my God. This guy is dreamy. Here's your SportsCenter update. Miguel Cabrera.
I have him in queue. He just laughed.
He did?
And he laughs like Jon Hamm.
Oh, he's
He laughs like Jon Hamm?
He laughs like the impossibly handsome Jon Hamm? No, he does not. No, he does not. Well, hurry up and finish reading so we can talk to the impossibly dashing Jon Hamm.
Okay, here's your SportsCenter update. Miguel Cabrera is out for the season with a ruptured left biceps tendon. Greg Hardy has signed a deal with the UFC following a 57-second knockout victory in his MMA debut. And finally, mice, monkeys, and humans will start itching if they see their fellow species scratching themselves. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in the SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
His new movie, Tag, is in theaters this Friday. He is likable and, as we may have mentioned, steamy. sensual, impossibly masculine, soaked in testosterone. Thank you, John, for making time for us. You do. You laugh like Jon Hamm. You do. Yeah. Has anyone ever told you that? You laugh just like him.
Steamy. That's too good.
And you sound like Jon Hamm.
Look, you must have buried.
I'm coming off like 2 weeks of talking about this movie. I have no voice left, and I'm sitting in a green room at the View, so I'm feeling very masculine indeed right now.
All right. It's a perfect place to ask you about your teenage feud with Paul Rudd and how you stole all the ladies from him because, again, you're impossibly dashing.
Oh, there's a lot been made out of that. Paul and I are good friends for a long time, but yeah, it's we've been competitive with one another for many years about many things. Most recently, we play. Paul does a celebrity bowling thing in KC. He's from KC, and I'm from St. Louis, so we're already at odds over that. I'm still mad about 1985. I don't want to talk about it, but. Yeah, we've been good friends and playful rivals over the years. He's a good man.
But you also compete for the same women in high school, right?
Well, there one sort of famous girl that we were both sweet on, and yes.
I'm sorry to bring up this dark time in your life. Is it okay to talk about or no? It feels like it's a dark time to discuss. You don't want to talk about your relationship with it.
I mean, it was only 35 years ago. I might not have gotten over it. Don't worry about it.
Who got her? I mean, he got her? What happened there? Who got her?
No, he
John,
didn't.
Who got her?
I did.
Okay. Of course. What do you mean? Of course. Of course.
Okay. Sorry.
What can you tell us about what the early years looked like for you going to Hollywood with, how much money, in what car, suffering for how long?
I literally drove my 1986 Toyota Corolla west, stayed in a friend's house in Denver, stayed in a friend's house. I was meant to stay in a friend's house in Carlin, Nevada, but he neglected to tell me that he had packed up and moved. So I got to Carlin, Nevada. Again, this was the days before cell phones. And I went to a truck stop payphone to call my friend, and he was like, yeah, man, I moved. I was like, so can I not stay in your place?
Oh, no.
Yeah, no, it doesn't exist. So I slept in my car in a truck stop, which is terrifying. And then I slept in some friends' houses in San Francisco, and I made it all the way out to California, and I had $150 and some credit cards that I knew I was going to default on, and that was my method of existence for a little while, and it took me about 3 years to get any kind of acting work. I was a caterer and a waiter and a bartender and all that other stuff.
3 years?
And,
yeah, you had to have doubted, right? You had to have doubted.
I got a lot of auditions, so I felt very confident that something was going to happen. It just, I would get all the way up to like the last thing and then stumble on the final hurdle. So it was kind of one of those things of that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, I guess. So eventually I finally cleared the last hurdle and started working. And by the time I moved out to LA when I was 25. By the time I turned 30, I was not waiting tables anymore. I was able to support myself as an actor. So I did it in my set allotted time window.
Jon Hamm with us here on ESPN Radio. His new movie, Tag, is in theaters this Friday. 3 years, though, man. Then they see how handsome you are?
Yeah, what happened? Like, you go in, you get...
There's moving to L.A. is like, especially from a place like St. Louis, moving to L.A. is like, okay, hey, go sit in that line with 8 guys that look just like you and are more famous.
Wait, there are other guys out there that look like you?
Well, who does Jon Hamm look at and say, that man is steamy and impossibly dashing?
I mean, fill in the blank. At the time, it was, who knows, James Vanderbeek? I don't know. Whoever it was, they were all getting cast, and I wasn't.
So how did your life immediately change with Mad Men?
Yeah, it was definitely kind of a quantum leap. I mean, it was the show was an outsized success, obviously from a cultural standpoint, and all these other things that people really responded to about the show. But also, it just propelled me into a totally different strata of kind of that world, and you're meeting other people, and you're getting opportunities to do things like host Saturday Night Live, and then you get to meet Tina Fey, and you get to go do 30 Rock, and so it's kind of a cascading thing, which is really exciting, and also, it also comes with its share of kind of nonsense and craziness. You just have to kind of manage it. But it was obviously very very fulfilling from a career standpoint.
Tell us about the nonsense and craziness.
Well, the nonsense and craziness are just like you feel like you're the servant of so many masters because so many people are pulling at you, and if you're not used to that and you don't know how to manage it, it becomes very debilitating almost, because it really is like everybody wants a piece of whatever the hot thing is at the time, and it's tricky.
John, what's your life look like if you don't succeed by the age of 30?
I probably would have moved back to St. Louis. Probably would have gone back to teaching. I probably would have had a different existence, and I probably would have been just fine with it. I love St. Louis. I love being from there. I loved teaching. I taught at my old high school, so I kind of went back to school in a sort of Rodney Dangerfield way, and I dug it. So that's probably what I would have done.
Give me a number of couches that you stayed on. Like a where that was. Oh. Give me a number.
It's double digits.
Is it?
Definitely double digits.
Really? For how long are you living on couches?
Well, I mean, I lost my mom when I was 9 and my dad when I was 20. So I was kind of on my own for the majority of my life, and I had a lot of good friends and a lot of family friends and a lot of very comfortable couches. I will say this. I do appreciate a comfortable couch. In fact, in my house now, I had the couch kind of built for the room that the couch lives in. So I'm like,
it's important to you.
Jam.
Because of those scars, it's important. Again, a new movie, Tag, is in theaters this Friday. Jon Hamm is with us. You told In Style one time, you said, I'm certainly damaged. There's no denying it. If you look at the history of my life, it's not great when your mom dies when you're 9 and your dad dies when you're 20, and then you live on couches in other people's basements. I mean, there's certainly a version of that person who does not come out of it as successfully as I have. What was the most turbulent period through all of that where you felt like, I'm not going to come out of this successfully?
Right after my dad died, I was really kind of adrift. It was a real hard time, and I struggled with depression, and I struggled with what is my life going to be, because I had no rudder really, and I fortunately had some incredibly close friends, families, basically, but their moms and dads kind of step up and really take a guiding presence in my life. I'm not kidding. I talk about mental health all the time. It's so important, and it's kind of looked over, or kind of laughed at in many ways, and it shouldn't be. I mean, we just lost Anthony Bourdain. We just lost Kate Spade to suicide, and those are extreme examples, but you can slip down that path relatively easily, and I think even nowadays with the social media and how people get treated on social media and stuff, it's tricky, and keeping your mental health in check is a real important thing. And thank God I had those people in my life, and they were able to sort of step up and give me a gentle nudge down the path. Like I said in that quote that you mentioned, like I certainly wouldn't have been as successful, and who knows what would have happened.
Did you find any escapes for your depression? Were you looking in places to help yourself medicate?
Well, I've always been very athletic. Like, I'm a sports guy, like I always have been. And so I find, like, of course, when I move my body, I've always been a team sports guy. I still play baseball in a men's league in LA. Like, I look for that kind of physical release, to kind of jumpstart my brain and kind of kickstart that. And
who's in that league? Who's in that league?
Tell me now.
Yeah, You're not the only celebrity in that league, right?
Casey Affleck plays with us. He's kind of one of our guys, and then it's just a bunch of dudes from LA, just like some agents and some other folks and writers and Hollywood dudes. It's a bunch of over 40 guys that are trying not to get hurt.
John, you seem to be enjoying this, and we're enjoying having you on the show. We're thinking maybe a weekly men's update. No, a men's league update weekly. You like baseball? No.
Knock it off.
Let John answer. I bet you he wants to do it.
What's the matter with you? You put people in this spot. Hey, want to work for free every week giving us baseball updates. I would just like to know what your league looks like. Give us, what are you hitting? You're a guy who keeps your own stats, right? Like, you know what your team's record is and stuff.
Well, I couldn't play last weekend because I was doing press, and we lost. by 1 run. We were in first place. I think we're 3-2 now. There's only 8 teams in the league. It's not like it's hard to get 10 to 15 guys together once a week that have jobs. But we try, and a couple of the team went from 4 teams. The league went from 4 teams to 8 teams. So we have some different folks in the league this year. But I've been playing in it for over 10 years. It's fun.
How many ribbies?
Knock it off.
How many ribbies?
Knock it off.
I had 2 RBIs in the last game.
Attaboy.
New movie Tag is in theaters this Friday. The cast has, crashed weddings during the filming. Jeremy Renner is wearing casts, plural, because he broke everything the 3rd day of production. So Tag, go see it. It's in theaters this Friday, his new movie, and you're ridiculous. Don't try and get him for the entire, for a week.
John, we're good on this weekly update. You would enjoy that, John. Talk some baseball, right?
Talk to you tomorrow, John.
I'll call back in. Yeah.
All right.
Yes!
Great. Thank you.
Money, 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 money.
Put it on the poll, Guillermo. Is Jon Hamm going to call back in tomorrow? This is the spot you put these people in.
I think he wants to be in this spot, though. I do. I think he loves sports. We're ESPN. He liked the show. You enjoyed that.
We didn't talk about Tag enough either.
He thanked us for having him on, just like Jon Hamm would.
Yeah.
We'll talk Tag tomorrow.
We're getting old around here. Unlike Stugotz, most of us want to stay healthy. That's why the supplements at GNC will do us all a world of good. That's right. Stugotz is against health. He's anti-health.
Tag, you're it. You're it, Dan. Talking Tag.
Cash more of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz. 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
This is your bedroom. This is your bedroom with Blue Chew. Blue Chew uses the same active ingredients as in Viagra or Cialis, but now comes in chewable form. Chewable means better, cheaper, and works faster than pills. No in-person doctor visit, no waiting in line, no more awkwardness. 100% online at BlueChew.com, where your first order is free. Just pay $5 shipping. Use promo code DAN at BlueChew.com and restart the party.
Dan Le Batard.
Guillermo, you were here throughout the entirety of that. We talked to them for an hour. What did you think? You guys were listening. What did you guys think was the best thing in there?
Stugotz.
You weren't listening. Okay.
I mean,
good talking to you. Okay, good talking to you. You weren't listening. Excellent work by you again, as always, Guillermo. You brought it strong, as always.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance with more than 30 unique coverage options available. Progressive knows small business. Learn more at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Guests on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. A jury has ordered the L.A. Rams to pay Reggie Bush a $12.5 million injury settlement. Real Madrid has named, Julian Lopetegui.
This is a huge story, Stugotz.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, the second part of that.
What?
He was the Spanish national team manager, and he took this Real Madrid job, which is against the rules for a national team manager. So a day before the World Cup, Spain, who's been undefeated, never lost with this manager, has fired their manager a day before the World Cup.
Wow.
Not a small thing.
So who's replaced him, dude?
He's been replaced by someone on the staff. They're trying to keep things sort of copacetic.
Okay.
But they fired their manager.
You wanted Mike to know off the top of his head who the assistant coach was, like who the Nick Nurse was of Spanish soccer?
I mean, Mike knows more about soccer than anyone I know.
Okay, but I think that's a big ask.
In fact, he's the only one I know that knows anything about soccer. He is. It's a big ask. The assistant coach who's going to coach Spain in the World Cup. Okay,
I'm just saying, why should he be following that closely that he would know who's on the Spanish team's bench as a coach by name?
Totally fair. I couldn't name a single assistant coach.
I mean,
in the NBA, I don't think. Maybe a couple. And finally, Tesla has announced it will be laying off 9% of its workforce as a cost-cutting measure. Elon Musk says, quote, "It's difficult, but necessary."
I'm worth $20 billion. I'm Elon Musk.
For all the latest headlines and information, tune in the Sports Center on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
Also, why would Stugotz ask me that question? Because I would have said a name, and Stugotz would have been like, oh, yeah, no, that's a good hire.
I thought maybe the fans wanted to know, not for me, for the listeners. I don't care. I don't care about the World Cup. I don't care about Spain. I don't care about their soccer team. I don't care about anything to do with it, man. You put in the update. Soccer.
Billy.
Yes?
It's the worst thing you do.
What? What's the worst thing I do?
You're Elon Musk.
Oh, that's Elon Musk.
Yeah.
You're putting a mask in front of your face for the people who are watching the radio show instead of listening to it, so they don't have the pouty faced mask of Elon Musk in front of them. The grand majority of people listening to this, and they don't know it's an impersonation of Elon Musk until you announce at the end, I'm Elon Musk.
I find it quite delightful. I'm Elon Musk.
We'll get to Stephen A. Smith's reporting and history because you need to listen to him on LeBron reporting. He doesn't deal in a lot of conjecture. He does legitimate reporting with legitimate NBA sources. We'll get to that in a second. But before we get to that, because it's the only time I've seen Stephen A. Smith scared, only time was when he reported LeBron's going to Miami and he thought at the last minute that things were falling apart and he felt the need to hedge,
yes.
To hedge at the last minute with things are happening because just it gets so crazy. And furthermore, he came on air with us and told us afterward, I never want to do that again. I never want to be near that story where I'm reporting something that other people don't know, and I'm not sure if it's going to change.
And 4 years later, jump right back into that pool.
Yes, he did. He did not remember his fear and regret, and he will jump into it again this year. And we're all thankful for it.
Already has.
But seriously, it's the only time any of us have seen Stephen A. Smith scared. I mean,
Yes.
The guy threatens Kevin Durant on First Take.
I know. No, he was very nervous. I remember you were nervous, too, because you were saying some of the same stuff,
It
right?
was weird, right? The word had spread in Miami in 2010, and so, but it was just, it's the same thing as now. There's one guy who knows. There's one guy, and he does an unbelievable job as a fully functioning adult star who comes from child stardom of controlling what he knows by not sharing it with everybody. So
right.
Dwayne Wade gets off a plane from Las Vegas with him, and Mickey Arison and Pat Riley are calling Dwayne Wade. What's happening here? And Wade's like, I don't know, man. It's Wade flying back from Los Angeles. Like, right. He just keeps very tight control over what it is that he's going to do and who's going to know it. And so we get all this piecemeal stuff. But before we get to the meat of that, I want to throw Lorenzo under the bus again.
All right.
Guillermo, how many months have we had to prepare for this segment that was supposed to be at 11 o'clock? And this segment's not prepared because everybody was at the Capitals parade yesterday.
I believe that we filmed this on April 13th and 14th. I could be wrong by a day or two, but it was like April 13th and 14th. And at the time, they told us, look, you guys, we had to sign this whole thing saying we couldn't talk about it, we couldn't show footage, we couldn't do anything. It was like $1 million penalty or something if we had to do it. And everyone was kind of nervous, like, how are we not going to address this for 2 months? And then, I mean, it just became evident that this wasn't going to get turned around in 2 months. So it was actually a lot easier than we thought because it wasn't ready.
But how did we arrive at 11 o'clock today with the big reveal, the big display? Here's 10 minutes of us doing the American Ninja Warrior course. The Miami episode airs tonight, 8 p.m. on NBC. And here we are telling people you're going to be able to see that. Go to ESPN News. You're going to be able to see that at 11 Eastern. And then it gets here, and 15 minutes before we start, everybody's bouncing into each other in Washington. Are they all hanging out with Ovechkin? Is that what it is? Like, is everyone up there just drink? Is everyone in Washington? Put that on the poll, Guillermo. Is everyone in Washington right now drinking with Ovechkin?
Well, Charlie put on his Instagram story, and I thank him for his hard work on this. He was working on this till 3:26 a.m. It's amazing. However,
you think it'd be done? I mean,
it's almost as if he forgot all the other Instagram videos that he put on his IG story of him at the Capitals parade, which I think would have helped his whole 3:26 a.m. situation.
Stugotz has stopped following Charlie. He's tired of the whole act.
Yep. No, I blocked him. So whatever text he sent out about any of this, I have no idea. You guys have to fill me in. He's blocked.
I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but I really don't think that this is on Lorenzo. I feel like
it's on Charlie.
I'm not going to say any names, but I don't think it's on Lorenzo.
Okay. It's only one other name. I mean.
Well, there were things that got in the way. We had that live, whatever it is that we did last week for the NBA Finals that I think maybe have been a distraction. But that was, I guess, only 8 weeks after we filmed.
Months to produce 10 minutes of television. Months!
Capitals hadn't won the cup.
Game of Thrones doesn't take that long.
At least we didn't make a whole big thing about, when we were going to air it and post constant updates.
When is it going to air? How is it possible that we are so consistently this marching band to nowhere? How is it possible that your Louis Brinson campaign is now the second most incompetent thing that we've done around here this week?
Well, there's been a whole history with this project. From what I hear, the computers now are not working, which is why it wasn't ready now. But I also heard that apparently Ninja Warrior uses some sort of completely outdated footage, even though they're able to turn around this stuff very quickly and have 2 different shows. Yeah, they.
Why is Allison yelling away from a microphone as if she's never done radio before?
Because the night that we did this, they handed us a stack of videotapes after we were done. A stack of them, 8 of them, 8 to 10. That happened 10 minutes before. So do you think it was the NBC people, the footage that they handed us everything?
Whose fault is it?
Name names.
I would like some answers, and these are the 2 answers I want. It's the only 2 answers I want. When the bleep is this going to air?
Next month.
Whose fault is it?
Well,
those are the 2 questions.
No way it airs today. There is no way that thing's done today. No way.
I have a very busy 12 o'clock hour. Sarah Spain's going to be joining in there. We have another guest scheduled, and I wanted to keep that hour clear because we're not going to be doing the radio show on ESPN Ooze at that point because they're going to be showing this. And I said, let's do it at 11:30. And they said, we'll try. We cannot promise.
I don't want to continue to throw shade, but I'd also like to say that me and Amin a couple weeks ago, so while we were at Ninja Warrior, we came up with an idea, let's have our own background stories like they show on Ninja Warrior, where we overcame all this hardship and whatever. So we went and I filmed it with Amin, and I found out last week that was cut. We're not doing any of that stuff either. So I don't even know what this finished product is.
All right. Well, you don't know. This is where we are. To recap, we promised you something now that is not there. The computers don't work.
Well, we have the clips videotaped on our phones, and we could just hold that up to the camera if you want to do that. I mean, I don't think they'd appreciate that with all the work they put in at 3 in the morning.
What work? They were doing snow angels with Ovechkin in a fountain somewhere in Washington.
They're struggling to get Billy's Adam's apple onto the screen because it's so massive.
I know. Everyone needs to see everything that's happening here because us doing American Ninja Warrior, Amin, after talking, I still have the image. I'm not even going to say, I can't say anything else, but I have frozen in, thank you, Chris, for the pantomime. I have frozen in my mind. I can't wait to see Amin trying to do this course and what happens to him in midair. And the only thing that happens to him that's better, the only thing that happens in the entire video that's better is what happens to this crock kook Charlie who Stugotz is blocked on Twitter because that's the funniest thing in the video, right? Right, Guillermo? The funniest thing in the video is what happens
I don't know if that's
Charlie.
I don't know if he
you don't know.
Well, it's Charlie. He included himself. Let's be honest.
But we didn't. He included himself, but he can't get it on the air.
It's 10 minutes long, the entire thing, and I'm sure 9.5 minutes of those is just Charlie.
Oh, I take the over.
What is the 10 minutes, though, honestly? Because our total combined time was nowhere near 10 minutes.
Yeah, we blazed through those courses.
Yeah. They cut out Billy and Amin's backstory so Charlie could put more Charlie in there. Nobody's more frustrated by this than Charlie. This was his big moment.
I ain't got time to bleed.
Yeah.
So big, he decided to celebrate with Ovechkin yesterday.
But honestly, to recap, we promised you something that segment, a segment in which we did nothing but complain about not accomplishing anything in that segment. And we have it after 2 months of preparation. Yes or no, Guillermo, what takes longer to produce? Game of Thrones or 10 minutes of American Ninja video here that we have?
Apparently this.
Roar is right. All roar, no reach. And frankly, the roar is pathetic, sometimes scared and sometimes impersonating Elon Musk behind a mask in a bit that doesn't work.
I think it works. I'm Elon Musk.
Don Batard.
Do you refer to the yellow sauce at a hibachi restaurant as Yum Yum sauce? 57% of the audience said no.
Stugotz.
Do you go ginger, 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 yum, 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 or yum, 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 yum? 38% of the audience said yum, 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 yum. So they get 3 yum, yum sauces. They ditch the ginger, get 2 yum, yums with an additional yum, yum. Second place was ginger, yum, yum. That Chris said earlier, no one goes ginger, ginger. 18% of the audience goes ginger, ginger. And 18% of the audience also goes yum, 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 yum. About that.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Stugotz has a cockamamie OKC theory he wants to throw your way in a second. Sarah Spain has the secret to how it is that you cheat and have a secret family without any repercussions. But before we do that, the shipping container was howling in a way that signified only one thing, which is they were listening to Andrew Luck talk about something, because I recognize this laughter when I see it. Look at Mike is post-coital there. Look at him. Look, get him a sandwich and a cigarette. What, Mike? What are you so happy about? What is the sound back there that tickled you guys? So we've been making fun of Andrew Luck for a long time because he doesn't.
No, we're not making fun of Andrew Luck.
Celebrating.
We are celebrating Andrew Luck. Yeah. Last season was so rough without him, and now, I don't know if you heard, Dan, but guess who's throwing not regulation-sized footballs? It's me. I'm looking for Jack Boy.
Well, let me hear some of the sound, because you were delighted. You were delighted. All I saw you tickled by was Andrew Luck saying the goal is to get better, which is the most useless thing he could say. So what happened after that?
Oh, man, Andrew Luck can say so much, and it's not just, yes, that's the message, the goal is to get better, but instead of having empty pauses in between his words, he likes to fill the space with meow.
The goal, certainly more short term, is be ready to go for training camp, to be able to not just participate, but get better. The team better go. See what we can make this year's Colts.
Bottom line, come September, whatever it is, against the Bengals, you expect to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or whatever you want.
No knock on wood. I'm going to be there. I'll be playing.
You'll be there.
I believe it in my bones. Yeah.
I believe it in my bones.
Immensely likable dude.
Yes, he's very nice. He's very kind. Everything the quarterback, everyone looks at him and he says the quarterback things. But what's that? What else do you have from Andrew Luck?
Well, Billy is a sort of kind of randomly a Colts fan, right? So he's all about Andrew Luck too. And he was telling me about Andrew Luck's book club.
No. Yeah, Andrew Luck has a book club, apparently, and he has 2 June selections, and he goes on to the Instagram, and he introduces you to the selections. So we have the sound. This is courtesy of AL Book Club on Instagram.
Hey, everybody. Happy June. This is Andrew Luck with the Book Club, and I have my copy of A Girl Named Zippy by Haven Kimmel. I'm really, really excited to read about Indiana, and I'm very, very much looking forward to it.
Aw, I like it. It's nice.
It is nice.
Happy June.
Yeah. I mean, just the way he punctuates June, it's like he so deeply misses having a cadence behind a center.
Happy June.
That should be like the cadence. That should be their snap count when he starts throwing regulation-sized footballs.
Happy June.
Like, I know we've moved on, but I compare everything to Jay Cutler still, and I'm trying to picture Jay Cutler's book club. Hey, everybody, it's June. I'm not going to read this.
Yes, it's bored. The Cliff Notes. He pulls out the Cliff Notes. Is it Cavalieri? Is his
Kristen
wife?
Cavalieri.
Yeah, she'll read it for me.
We can't forget about Hank the Cowdog.
Rookie selection, month of June, getting into summer. Hank the Cowdog, an absolute classic. I cannot wait to get into the book again. The original adventures of Hank the Cowdog. It's going to open a whole wide world for young, excited readers. Young readers of all ages.
A classic to whom? Has anyone here heard of Hank the Cowdog?
Is he the dorkiest quarterback?
Guillermo, put on the poll. Put on the poll. Has there ever been a worse idea than Andrew Luck's book club?
No.
Oh, no, it's a great idea. Are you
great
kidding
idea.
me? Yes,
this is a fantastic idea. It is so charming.
And my book club would be a worse idea.
You're going to write a book before you read one.
True.
So here
That's
we've got some Andrew Luck looks like. Which is the best one from among them?
I'm not writing it.
Okay. Andrew Luck looks like the kid that put his mouth all over the water fountain. Andrew Luck looks like the cashier at the supermarket who holds up the entire line to get a price check on the oranges you just purchased because he's positive the sale ended yesterday.
I gotta know how much he's cost.
Andrew Luck looks like the atypically large high school freshman who always seems to have tuna fish stuck in his braces after lunch.
Yummy.
Andrew Luck looks like he works in a Radio Shack in the mall.
I mean, they got great benefits.
The Shack now.
Andrew Luck looks like a window licker.
You try to help yourself. Happy June.
Andrew Luck looks like a kid that can be found at any junior high school in America explaining at this very moment the difference between a terrarium and an aquarium to an uninterested group of his peers.
That's not fair. I mean, they're just totally different. It's crazy.
Andrew Luck looks like a human to werewolf transformation that encountered a loading error at 45%.
Only about 3 times a month.
That is Straight Talk. It is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks.
I ain't got time to bleed.
Dollar Shave Club, people, the midweek growth on Stugotz. It's moving up his face. It's getting close to his eyebrows. He is a terrible spokesman for this company, but please listen to him anyway.
By the way, American Ninja Warrior video. It's a go.
All right.
Wow.
We'll see. We'll see. Says
it.
Yeah. I don't know. My favorite show.
All right. So what might happen in the next segment is on ESPN Ooze, you will have an American Ninja Warrior segment, and we will do a radio show here on the radio, on your podcast. While that's going on, you can have your option of which you get from our show, the American Ninja video at ESPN Ooze, or us doing scintillating segments like the last one we just did on Andrew Luck.
Don Le Batard.
Texter writes in, Stugotz looks homeless today. If I saw him walking down Ocean Drive, I would give him $5.
Stugotz.
Thank you.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
It is on television right now. We're watching Mike Ryan begin this obstacle course, and I hadn't seen this. These things are supposed to be hopped to 1 foot on the other. This is taking longer for him to get through this first phase.
He's positioning himself. He looks terrified, too.
Right. I did a different course than you guys did, right? So I was expecting these to be the one hop steps that everybody had. Because I've watched Ninja Warrior. The first one is always so easy, but these were actually escalating in height. And they were really high.
Allison, what are you laughing about back there? Your face is red. It's like a radioactive color of some sort. What are you laughing about? You're just laughing about watching this ridiculousness over here.
He's standing on these pylons like they're skyscrapers.
Yeah, he looks like a bird waiting to, lift off. But it also looks like you're already so exhausted that there's no way you could get past this very first set of obstacles. You look so tired.
It took a lot out of me. It was really hard.
That's a good look.
I became super envious of how easy everybody else's first task was.
I hope your wife
do
isn't
something.
He did something.
He is not dashing Jon Hamm in any of these videos, but he tried. So we'll get back to that in a second. But what did you just say about Reggie Bush? Did he get $12.5 million for falling down on out of bounds?
Yes. How'd he play?
Yeah, the old stadium. He was running out of bounds, and there was nowhere to go, and then it was slippery. And he tore his ACL. So,
but wait a minute. So the stadium is liable. The stadium is liable that he could injure himself a few feet away from the place where he could get a spinal injury legally.
I think they must have proved in the suit that the whatever the surface was not appropriate for someone who needs a runoff space after coming off the field.
Not the stadium. The team is paying it. There were 2 teams playing in that stadium last year, right?
Oh,
the team is paying for it?
I would think so.
Okay, well,
it says the the Rams have to pay Reggie Bush $12.5 million. The team, not the stadium.
Wait a minute. What did Reggie Bush do for the Rams?
But wait, this wasn't last season, right? This was a couple seasons ago. Their old stadium in St. Louis.
Yes, this is when they were the St. Louis Rams.
Just the one team was there.
He was playing against the Rams. Okay. He ran out of bounds. I forget which team he was playing for. Was this when he was with the Niners? Who knows?
He
was with like a million teams.
How many teams has he played for?
Did you know he was a Ram?
Was he still with Kim Kardashian?
No, I don't think he is a Ram. I think Mike just told us he's playing against the Rams.
No, he was never. No,
he was never a Ram, and this was when the Rams were in St. Louis, which is why he was playing in the Edward Jones Dome. And this actually happened to a couple players. Reggie Bush was the only one that was, a couple players actually slipped because they had random exposed concrete on your NFL sideline, which is not prudent considering the speed that these guys run at. And this was 2016, and you know what? He absolutely got hurt, and if he lost actual playing time because of this and potential wages, it was a bad job out of them. It was super unsafe.
Sarah was fixated on some sort of raccoon story that I don't know about.
I had trouble focusing on my radio show last night because, so basically, this raccoon was stuck for like 2 days at a pretty low level on the side of this major building in St. Paul. And they had seen him and they were like, he doesn't have any food or water. Let's try to get him. So they tried to go help him and he ran away and started climbing up the side of the building. And there are people inside that office building that have videos and photos of him, like just strolling up the side of the giant building. I didn't know raccoons were such amazing climbers, but it doesn't look like there's anything to grip. And he's just like chilling, going up. And then he takes naps on windowsills. So someone's at their office just typing away and there's this adorable raccoon just like taking a breather. I mean, the cutest thing you've ever seen.
But starving.
So yeah, starving and thirsty and doesn't know where he is. And he's like, so he goes all the way up 23 floors. And then at like 12:30 p.m. last night, they're like, oh no, he's coming down. So he was like, because there was a curved area of the building and he got to the flat part and he's like, I can't do it on the flat part. I guess I'll go down. So he goes all the way down to 17. Then he takes another nap for a while and everyone's like, oh, he's never going to make it. They put some cat food on the roof, hoping he would smell it and go up there because he's so hungry. And then somehow this morning, he decided to go back up again, found an area that was curved again, made it all the way to the roof. And I know this little guy's probably better off being dropped in a field somewhere, but I think he should make the morning rounds. I want to see him on GMA. Right. I want him on Kelly Ripa's show. I love this raccoon so much.
Are we worried about the health of the animal, though?
Whenever you got a trash panda, it could be full of rabies.
But you just made it adorable.
It is. Listen, are you saying people with rabies aren't adorable? Wow, that's judgmental.
I am saying that.
Wow.
I'm saying,
okay,
Guillermo,
sorry, everyone out there listening with rabies.
Guillermo, put it on the poll. If you have rabies, can you be adorable?
100%.
Put it on the poll.
I'm going to find a picture of something rabid when it's not currently foaming at the mouth. And you're going to see how adorable it can be.
Mike, what kind of update can you give us here? Because I haven't been able to watch this video. What are the highlights so far of the American Ninja Warrior video? Here's Billy right now.
Yes.
Billy got, spoiler alert.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Billy.
Oh, he had it.
Yeah. Billy had, he was going to conquer the whole course and then it fell apart. Yeah. On the last,
Well, most of the people that ran the evening course on day 2, they actually have commentators doing them. Matt Eisman and Akbar Gbajabiamila actually did the commentary for some of these rounds. And it's apparently funny because I got a DM from Frank Isola saying, who's doing the commentary? Pretty funny.
The Iceman.
Matt Eisman. He dated my friend from my improv group for like 5 years.
Two Icemen.
Friend of mine. Good dude.
Whoa!
The rare double Iceman.
Double Iceman. When do you ever see the rare double Iceman situation?
Wow.
How's this possible?
Can you imagine if George Gervin was there?
Here we go. This is what I've been waiting for months.
All right, we're going to do a play-by-play. We have 2 minutes left in this
segment. Fake athlete Amin who talks like this big game.
Wait, we're going to give you some play-by-play this is American Ninja Warrior. Amin El Hassan was getting some dryness on his hands because he wants to make sure his grip is okay. Stugotz, watch this because this has been in my memory for 2 months here. Before we get to the big payoff here of Charlie, watch here as Amin very confidently talking trash the whole week. Watch this.
That's so funny.
He froze in midair, Mike, like the like a cartoon, like the Coyote and the Roadrunner. Before you fall off the cliff, he was just in midair, swinging his legs around. Guillermo, it's amazing, right? Like they have to have another camera angle of that frozen of him.
Need
just
a replay.
Unbelievable.
Oh, yeah, here we go.
Here's the replay.
I like how he's wearing a Limitless shirt. You are clearly very limited.
That is great.
Oh, man.
People are going to be very disappointed.
Dan's reaction.
That I didn't come.
When are you going?
Dan's so
you didn't compete?
No,
I didn't either.
No.
Lacrosse mitzvah.
Allison was so maternal, and she was so terrified for me because I'd just come off of hand surgery, and you just saw what Amin's move was. He had to go and jump from something and grab a rope, and that probably it's cowardice on my part. I was also scared.
Dan will not run. Hand injury.
I was questionable at game time.
You weren't medically cleared.
We're not going to get the payoff here on the radio of Charlie doing this, but I assure you that what you're about to see from Charlie is earned and deserved, and the way that this needed to go.
Where will people find this?
Well, I'm sure
on your Twitter.
We'll put it on Le Batard Show on Twitter soon.
Shocking, this all leads to Charlie.
Right, it ends.
Headliner.
Right, it ends with the headliner Charlie, who makes his own way here. Yeah, Charlie.
Well, we're fast forwarding to midway through the course.
Yes, Charlie thinks of himself as a ninja, and spoiler alert: here it comes. Here comes the big finish. Hurry, Charlie! Hurry, Charlie! Hurry, Charlie! He bangs his junk.
Catch more of the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz, 10 to 1 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
I'm a one-trick pony, literally. I show up at kids' parties and act cute. That's pretty much it. So excuse me for being bitter. When Geico says not only could we save you money on car insurance, but we do more. Like give you 24/7 access online, over the phone, or even via our award-winning mobile app. Well, ooh la la. Aren't they multi-talented? Hey, I said organic carrots.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Dan Le Batard.
Is it fair to say that Stugotz isn't trying very hard?
Stugotz.
Duh.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Sarah Spain in with us, and Alexander Ovechkin is enjoying. We have talked to Mike Modano about waking up with the cup and Pantera and a house and eating spaghetti. The cup keeper has joined us before. It's this guy, correct? He's basically been the keeper of Ovechkin the last few days, and so we're going to talk to him about that. But Mike, what's the sound you have back there? Is it Ovechkin? Is it him just toothlessly drinking from the champion's nectar?
You haven't heard this?
No, I haven't heard this.
It is absolutely glorious, man.
So he's been addressing the crowd. And by the way, he doesn't need a microphone to address the crowd. He's been personally addressing every single person in Washington, D.C. since they won the cup. But this is at the parade, and he's still going hard.
And the one and last thing, before the year, I said, not me say, it's just us saying, we're not going to be sucked this year. We're the Stanley Cup champions. Yeah! Woo! Yeah! Woo! It's yours, boys and girls and babes. Let's go!
He did that mic-less.
Amazing. Unamplified.
That's the glory in your soul when you've risen above all the Stugotzes who doubted you. All the Stugotzes who had very strong opinions at microphones about how frail you are. He is now drinking you all to death.
I love that at a certain point that he realized it was 2018. So when he addressed the crowd, he said this.
Yeah.
It's yours, boys and girls and babes. Let's go!
What is that?
Boys and girls and babes.
No,
Let's go.
I thought it was babes, but after listening to it, it's boys and girls and persons.
It's yours, boys and girls and babes. Let's go!
It is persons.
All right, wait a minute.
How
Wait,
inclusive.
I heard birds.
Hold
How
on a second. You heard
inclusive.
birds?
I heard birds.
Boys and girls and birds?
Yeah.
It's yours, boys and girls and babes. Let's go!
I heard breakfast.
Persons go.
I heard breakfast.
Definitely birds.
Let's play it again.
This is the Yanny Laurel thing
Yes.
all over
Yes.
again.
Well, but I'm going to make fun of Sarah about something she admitted on television the other day that's uproarious.
It's yours, boys and girls and babes. Let's go!
Does sound like birds.
Now I'm hearing birds.
It does sound like birds. It sounds, hey, but
Now I hear purses.
Yeah, I did hear a little bit of that as well. One more
It's yours, boys and girls and babes. Let's go!
Yeah, persons.
Mike is so right about this. This is a foreigner who's drunk trying to figure out how to navigate 2018. I can't just call them boys. I probably shouldn't have called them girls, and now they're persons.
It's yours, boys and girls and babes. Let's go!
No idea now.
I still
Sounds
don't
like
know
nothing.
what he said. What did he say? You guys can't be
I heard
sure.
birds again.
I
I mean,
put it on the poll.
Put all the options on
What
the
did
poll.
Alexander Ovechkin say?
We got babes. We got persons. We got birds. We got
Birds.
purses.
Yes.
Yours, boys and girls and babes, let's go!
I heard braces.
I hear braids.
I don't know.
No,
what's
there's no
happening.
D in there.
Did he say braces?
Hold on.
Yours, boys and girls and babes, let's go!
Yours, boys and girls and braces.
Pervs.
Listen
boys,
again. Pervs.
Boys and girls and pervs.
Yours, boys and girls and babes, let's go!
I don't hear
Birds. I'm back to birds.
But here's a good place to make fun of Sarah because the Van Halen song.
Oh, yeah.
And the Van Halen song, Panama.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I'm not making this up. Mike, can you just find the song for us? I want to build up to this because what Sarah was singing every time this played in a bar in Chicago and karaoke is, to me, totally unimaginable. That she would enjoy singing the lyrics to the song with what she thought were the lyrics. So here are the lyrics. We will wait for it, and when
we need the chorus. Yeah.
When it arrives, though, when the chorus arrives, I would like for you to sing it the way that you sang it when you thought the lyrics were not Panama, but something else.
What do you mean?
I know, right? She doesn't hear Panama.
I didn't know
here.
until a couple of years ago.
What?
Yeah, well, but wait till you hear what she thought it was. Okay. This is going to be worth it. I like to underpromise and overdeliver, but it's so unfathomable to me that
I feel like I want to guess. I mean,
No, you're not going to guess.
No one's
going to
gonna
sound
guess.
anything like what I thought they were saying.
No one's gonna
And then
guess.
once I learned what they were saying, I was like, oh, that makes sense. And I actually learned it at a Panama-U.S. soccer game. And everyone was saying, I was like, oh!
She was at a Panama U.S. soccer game.
friendly.
What a moment of epiphany. Hold on a second.
There we go.
You guys are going to be amazed by this. Hold on. Everyone back away from the microphone.
so excited.
There's going to be a payoff. It needs to be with some silence.
Get it, Mo!
Get
it, Mo!
Get it, Mo.
What?
That's right. That is correct.
Who's Mo?
That's correct. That is correct. Why?
And what is he getting?
Why? That's right. That's right. That is correct. That is the correct response. Why is Mo getting something?
You thought the chorus to Panama was "Get It, Mo"?
Get it, Mo. It doesn't either. There's no rhythm in it. It's not even the same syllable count, is it?
Yes, it is the same syllable count, thank you.
I feel like he drags the first N. Panama.
No. It fits.
Hold on a second. Ready? It fits. Mo.
Get it, Mo! Get it, Mo!
I like your one better.
Thank you, get it, Mo!
I do like hers better.
Why are we singing about Panama? Go get something.
Better song.
Yours, boys and girls and babes, let's go!
I think it's let's go. I really think it's
heard
let's go.
birds.
So there's got to be a one-syllable word in there. Babes.
How about voices?
Yours, boys and girls and babes, let's go!
See, it's babes.
Is anyone on the planet having a better time than that man right now? I mean, right now.
I mean, he also definitely just created a shirt with when the season started, we said we wouldn't bleeping be stuck. We're Stanley Cup champs. Like, that's definitely a shirt now.
Absolutely right. We had earlier this week, what was it? Radar Love that I thought was Red Alert. Like, you guys have to have
there's a lot
stories
of
like
those,
that.
yeah.
You guys have to have stories. Can we come back with stories and songs where you guys admit that you thought the lyrics were something else? Because everyone's got that story, right? That you've been singing a song wrong for 20 years?
Oh, Invisible Touch by Phil Collins.
Oh, totally.
Physical Attraction. Everyone that thought that had been Physical Attraction.
I still thought that until just
Physical
now. Wait.
Attraction, right? Yeah. You're just learning. It's an invisible touch. Yeah.
No, I don't like that. What's an invisible touch? You can't see. What?
Sounds
No.
creepy.
I prefer physical attraction. I'm going to sing it that way. And I'm going to sing Let It Mo.
Get it.
I ain't got time to bleed.
Get it, Mo was amazing to me.
It's
Get
unbelievable.
it, Mo.
Awesome.
Don Le Batard.
How is it that you guys are viewing the Game Show Network as some kind of sad?
Stugotz.
I love the Game Show Network.
Well,
It's so
doesn't?
fun.
Who doesn't?
What
I don't even understand what's happening.
What shows does she watch?
It's all she watches.
All of them? She watches
all of the shows.
But, Mike, it's so wonderfully mindless. Like, it's got to be, you don't have to do anything. You could just sit there watching television and not think about anything.
Maybe you're cutting right to it here. It's just she's only watching mindless entertainment.
But as an escape hatch, you can't say this to the people listening right now and not accuse them of the same thing. They're not even watching game shows. They're listening to us talk on the radio about somebody watching game shows.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
So Sarah Spain is with us. We are thankful for her presence as always. You can catch her on Highly Questionable. You can also check out her podcast. That's What She Said. Is what it's called. The That's What She Said podcast with new episodes weekly. You can listen on all the ESPN gizmos, and also her radio show with Fitz is 6 to 9 Eastern weeknights.
Nice.
Every
I always say.
Everywhere ESPN radio can be found. The information is pouring in from every corner of the internet. Somebody has been singing Panama by Van Halen for a long time, singing Padded Bra.
All right, that's a lie.
I mean,
I buy people who said animal or cannonball, I'll buy it. But padded bra?
Well, animal has been said. The hashtag Get It Mo is now circulating. The hashtag Get It Mo. Animal, people have heard there. Somebody writes in, I had a friend that thought Twice as Hard Now by the Black Crowes was twice as aardvark. A friend thought AC/DC's Dirty Deeds line, Dirty Deeds and They're Done Dirt Cheap, was actually Dirty D and the Thunder Chiefs.
Oh, and I thought that as well. Like something close to that. Yes,
I actually
really did. Yeah,
the first time I heard it, I thought it was Dirty Deeds Done with Sheep.
Oh,
wow.
Well,
a tweeter writes in, I used to think BTO's Taking Care of Business was Taking Care of Biscuits, which is a totally different song. Another guy writes in, or woman, or person,
or babes.
Or bird. Or babes.
Or pussies.
Or braces. Or breakfast. Tell me you can't hear Jimi Hendrix singing Excuse Me While I Kiss This Guy.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm sure
that's the most famous one, that and Hold Me Closer, Tony Danza.
Are those the most famous ones?
Hold Me Closer, Tony Danza.
You're saying that's a thing?
Hold me closer, Tony Danza. That's why he came back with that song.
No one does that.
Does no one appreciate Mike Ryan's musical mastery?
I know why. I saw the text and I saw the tweets. I don't believe it.
Nobody appreciates your musical mastery, Mike.
No, I work. You know what? I'll just pay the $2.
Yeah, you should. Thank you.
Go ahead, defend yourself.
There was Easter eggs.
There are a lot of inside jokes in the music around here.
Easter eggs that nobody gets.
Well,
pretty obscure, but
look, man,
I can't change who I am.
Okay, but here's the thing about you that's annoying. Have you heard Roy complain that he won American Ninja Warrior? He won. He was better than any of us on it, and we didn't celebrate Roy. Have you heard him complain? No. Roy is a team player. You always thinking about yourself.
I mean, I'm the one who brought it up, to be fair.
You too, always thinking about yourself.
I mean, yeah, obviously.
Roy was wronged because he did well on the ninja course, and of course we didn't celebrate that.
I look forward to watching that.
But who cares about him doing well? We want Charlie falls and hits his junk.
Yeah, we need that on a loop. I'm going to take a video. I'm going to take a boomerang of someone else's phone with that clip and just make it on an endless loop.
Doing well is not funny. Mike Ryan panicked trying to get through the first obstacle and looking at like every step he takes loses dignity.
You know, and I'm so thankful for the Mike Army out there that's been super supportive, that understands that it wasn't the same exact obstacle. In fact, you amateurs had the much easier course.
Nobody understands.
Everybody says mine was
also,
so
can we come up
much
with a
harder.
better name than the Mike Army?
Well, I was repping the Stugotz Army, and
yeah,
you know what? I'm going to start doing that a lot more because a lot more empathy my way. A lot more people were sad for me failing because I was wearing a Stugotz shirt.
Is there a Mike Army?
No, not at all.
Do we know if Charlie's
Probably
junk is
most
okay?
popular.
That's a good question.
It's important. We're just laughing. Does he want to have kids one day?
Do we care?
I mean, he needs someone to pass on all that generational wealth to. It would be a shame if it went to charity.
You know what else? It would be a real shame if, for whatever reason, DC found a way to just loop him running.
Oh, let's do that. Can you do that? You know what? Do that for me, please, Lorenzo. For the end of the show, just keep running over and over again in the corner today and tomorrow. Charlie hitting his junk on one of those obstacles.
Yeah. Just the J.R. Smith play that we have running.
He'll love
and
it.
then in a couple days, let's ask him if he's okay.
That's right.
Wait a second. You know what? Don't do that because we're doing him a favor. We just made his week.
But it's funny.
We just made his week.
It doesn't matter, Charlie. I mean, having himself on the screen for 3 hours a day for 2 days. No.
I don't know. Isn't there a line drawn somewhere where if you castrate yourself, it's not a positive experience to be repeated over and over?
The amine loop would be pretty funny.
Amine loop is perfect.
Back and forth.
Back and forth.
Yeah, back and forth. You got to go one, then the other, then one, then the other.
You got 3 months.
No, and Mike Ryan's clinging when we get that angle, looking straight up his bottom.
Just his butt, clinging desperately.
I was 55 feet in the air.
There's also this misconception because Charlie lost on the third obstacle that he got to the third obstacle. That did not happen. He fell off the rope on the first obstacle on the easy course.
Oh, really?
And then he was able to continue later on because they felt bad for him.
I thought we cut ahead because we didn't have time to show him successfully completing the rest.
If you look at him, he's soaking wet when he's running that third obstacle.
What an interesting edit by Charlie. History is told by those who are in power. Charlie changing the narrative to only show his junk being damaged forever.
The Miami episode of American Ninja Warrior it airs tonight on NBC. Mike, do you know we're not a part of any of that, right?
You think we made the final cut of the network special?
I think Charlie might have. I mean, honestly. Just as an example to show what athleticism looks like and then what the average Joe looks like.
They only included your run, Dan.
Wait a minute. The reason I bring it up is don't you just do that course so you get the payoff of Charlie hitting his junk? Like, isn't that if you're the American Ninja producers, isn't that the shot you want?
It's a great shot.
It's a great shot.
But also there's probably 3 dozen Charlies. You know, they tape that thing all night. It goes till 6 a.m.
Their cameras weren't rolling for Charlie, Roy, and Mike. That's why it's a different angle.
Don Batard. Is there any job in sports scarier than kick returner?
I would put hockey goalie in the conversation.
Sport's crazy, man.
It is crazy.
They're skating on knives.
That's right.
They have weapons in their hands.
You're absolutely right. Let's talk about this for a second. Stugotz. We're going to look back in 100 years and be like, what the hell were we doing with hockey? They were skating on swords. And every once in a while, a guy got cut near the jugular.
We're out here upset that they're fighting in between. Are you kidding me?
Right.
Fight is it's a vacation. It's a tropical vacation.
You should be thankful that they're not using those swords they're skating on.
This is the Don Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Stugotz, let's update the polls here because we've misplaced the keeper of the cup because Ovechkin's probably doing something lascivious with it. And we're assuming that Phil Pritchard has to be exhausted because he's just following around. The way this works is the Stanley Cup champion is given the trophy for a year, and each player is given 24 hours with it. It's the oldest trophy that professional athletes in North America compete for. And this guy protects it, and he's been protecting it since 1988, but we've misplaced him because Ovechkin's near the cup, and he's got to be extra vigilant. I want to know who his gold, silver, and bronze medalists are of people who have partied with that thing, like the most reckless people with that thing. We'll get to that in a little bit. Sarah Spain, again, That's What She Said is her podcast. New episodes are weekly. You can listen, ESPN app, Apple Podcasts, all the gizmos, and Spain and Fit, 6 to 9 Eastern weeknights here on ESPN Radio.
Nice.
Stugotz, let's update some of the polls at Le Batard Show.
Do you like big events in your town? 52. I think it's a hassle. I'm with Guillermo on this. 52% of the audience said yes, they like them. But Bill, 48% of the people are with us. They don't like having them in there.
Yeah, the people are fools.
Exactly. Well, 52, yes. Which is the more impressive invention? The rundown on the side of the screen or the bottom line? 65% of the audience said the bottom line.
Happy June.
Did you know that the role of the Predator was originally going to be played by Jean-Claude Van Damme? 81% of the audience said no.
Happy day.
Can you read an oral history? 68% of the audience said no.
Dan,
how about that?
Get real.
I mean,
what do you mean?
That's ridiculous.
No, it's not.
Oral histories.
That's the spoken word. Anyway, once an oral history is written down, does it cease being an oral history?
Hold on a second. Hold that thought. Just keep it for later.
Spoiler? Oh, really?
Yeah, we'll tease it for later because we found the keeper of the cup.
Oh,
we located it.
Read it.
Phil Pritchard has been protecting that thing since December of 1988. He joins us now. We've got a lot of questions. Thank you for making time for us again, Phil. In the history of you being around the cup, give me the 3 names that have partied with it more vigorously than Alexander Ovechkin has.
3 names? Holy smokes. Timo Solani, the Dallas Stars Hockey Club, and I'm not sure after that.
Hold on. Phil, were you with Madonna with Pantera? Were you at that house?
Yeah, you remember that back? That was, just think how old we are now, guys. That was 20 years ago.
Was there ever a time, Phil, where you had to step in and take the cup back? Like they've gone too far?
You know what the neat thing is about hockey players and the Stanley Cup is the guys have so much respect for it. It's usually their buddies, or I don't want to use the word hanger-ons, but the other people that are around, they're the guys you got to worry about. I mean, as you can see this week, Alexander Ovechkin loves it. He's not doing anything to harm it or anything. And that's it with most players. They've been phenomenal players. It's always, and we all have buddies like that those are the guys we got to watch out for.
So you're ever vigilant watching the guys near the guys. Ovechkin's crew is a bunch of goons, right? A bunch of goons.
No.
They're a bunch of drunk goons. Drunk goons.
It's crazy this year. I mean, obviously social media is more prevalent than ever at past years. But you think last year we were in Pittsburgh, a smaller town. Now we're in the nation's capital. It's a big city compared to Pittsburgh. We've been in Arlington. We've been in Georgetown. I mean, Washington has so many suburbs that it's not only the city, but the entire community has been involved with this whole emotional roller coaster